A clip of YNW Melly praying and blowing a kiss during his murder trial has gone viral.
He was doing it a couple times. That wasn't his first time.
Yeah. The victim's mother says it was disrespectful.
What you praying for? Because you sitting over there like you don't got no remorse. Like every time I walk in, you smiling. You know, this ain't the time for that. This case is sad.
Melly, whose real name is Jamel Demon, is accused of killing 2 friends in 2018 and covering it up as a drive-by shooting.
Someone that cares about you takes initiative, always. You don't have to tell them anything. They know what you like. They know what you want. They know what you expect. They're going to take initiative. Man or female. Point blank period. If someone cares about you, they're going to go out their way for you.
So what you got tattooed on your face? Tell me about it a little bit.
No, I got Sack Chaser right here. That's my brother. That's my twin.
Okay.
I got Juvie.
Juvie?
Yeah, that's my brother.
Just a lot of your friends who passed?
Yeah. Nah, them my niggas right there.
Oh, okay.
My brothers right there.
My bad. I wouldn't get none of my friends tattooed on my face until they died.
Yeah,
I'm not a good friend like you are, apparently.
This shit for life.
One leaked video just shook one of hip-hop's most infamous murder cases to its core. Not a rumor, not a blog post. A real interrogation clip, recorded years ago, buried for nearly half a decade, suddenly surfaced, and now the entire YNW Melly case looks different. Because this time, the person talking wasn't an outsider. It wasn't a detective, it wasn't the media, it was a close homie who was actually there that night. The streets are divided, the internet is losing its mind, and with Melly's retrial approaching, this footage might be the most dangerous thing to surface yet. But to understand why this video is so explosive, we need to rewind to the night everything went wrong. Before the headlines, before the court dates, before the internet picked sides, these weren't enemies. Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas weren't rivals. They were family. Same crew, same grind, same vision, and right in the middle of it all was YNW Melly. They weren't just rappers chasing fame. They grew up together, ate together, slept on the same floors, built the YNW name from nothing. That's why the story hit so hard when news broke that Sack Chaser and Juvie were gone, because nobody believed betrayal was even possible. So when police were told the two were hit in a random drive-by, it sounded tragic, but believable. At first. But once investigators looked closer, the story started falling apart. According to the original story, Sack Chaser and Juvie were victims of random street violence, caught in a late-night drive-by while riding in a Jeep. But when police searched the area where the shooting supposedly happened, they found nothing. No shell casings, no shattered glass, no bullet fragments, no tire marks, nothing. Then the medical examiner dropped the bombshell. Both men had been shot from inside the vehicle. Even worse, the bullet trajectories pointed to one specific seat, the rear driver's side seat, the exact spot Melly was allegedly sitting in. And that's when the entire timeline started collapsing. The night began at New Era Recording Studio in Fort Lauderdale. 8 young men pulled up around midnight to work on music. That alone wasn't unusual, but according to later testimony, the energy was strange from the jump. People were tired, falling asleep. The session wasn't productive, and Sack Chaser was reportedly acting aggressive, slapping people for dozing off. That kind of tension matters. Everyone decided to leave, and this is where one decision changed everything. The group split into 2 vehicles. 4 people got into a red Mitsubishi SUV. The other 4, including Melly, Sack Chaser, and Juvie, got into a gray Jeep Cherokee. At first, both vehicles took the same route, but they weren't headed to the same destination. But the Jeep never showed up. Cell phone data later revealed the Jeep did something strange. Instead of continuing home, it went the opposite direction, north, toward a remote area near the Everglades. Dark, empty, no witnesses. The Jeep traveled down isolated roads and eventually stopped near a dead-end trash facility, and phone data placed the vehicle at that location. And according to prosecutors, that's when Sack Chaser and Juvie were already gone. But here's the chilling part. When police checked the location of the alleged drive-by afterward, there was 0 evidence it ever happened, which led to one terrifying theory, that the shooting inside the Jeep came first, and the drive-by was staged later. For years, everything stayed speculation, until November 2025. That's when leaked interrogation footage of Jacoby Mills suddenly surfaced. Jacoby wasn't a random witness. He wasn't an internet clout chaser. He was family. a close YNW affiliate, blood cousin to YNW Bortlen, and one of the people riding in the red SUV that night. Most importantly, this interrogation was recorded in January 2019, before the public knew most of the case details. Which makes what he said next terrifying. Inside that interrogation room, Mills broke down the entire night, minute by minute. He talked about the tension at the studio, the aggression, the weapons being collected before leaving. He even claimed Melly was carrying a satchel that night. But the moment that shook people the most came after the deaths. Mills said Melly FaceTimed him and was fake crying. No tears, no real emotion, just a performance. Later, Mills said Melly had changed clothes, tank top and gym shorts, which lined up with testimony revealed years later. Then came the weapons story, .40 caliber handgun. He said he held it in his own hands before someone else took it away. Law enforcement never recovered a murder weapon. Mills' story explained why, but it didn't stop there. As the interrogation continued, Mills started talking about something the streets had whispered about for years: money. According to Mills, there were serious disputes over a record deal worth hundreds of thousands. Sack Chaser allegedly believed he was the CEO of YNW, entitled to half of everything Melly made. Family audio recordings released later seemed to support that claim. They talked about control, about blocking deals. Then came allegations that raised even more questions. Claims that Melly's mother rented a storage unit the morning after the deaths, claims about clothing being collected, claims about evidence being moved. None of it has been proven in a courtroom, but none of it has been ignored either. Because when money and power collide with loyalty, friendships don't just crack under pressure. They collapse, they turn toxic, and sometimes they end in bloodshed. Once the leaked interrogation footage hit the internet, the culture split instantly. Not slowly, not quietly, overnight. Some people praised Jacoby Mills, calling him brave for finally speaking on what he says happened, and for giving a voice to friends who can no longer speak for themselves. To them, this wasn't snitching. It was closure. It was someone carrying the weight of a night that's haunted him for years, and finally letting it out. Others weren't buying it at all. They labeled Mills a snitch, a traitor, someone breaking the street code when it mattered most. In their eyes, no matter the circumstances, talking to law enforcement is crossing a line that can't be uncrossed. Mills pushed back hard against that label. He insisted he wasn't cooperating for deals, money, or personal benefit. He said he was scared, not just for himself, but for his family. He talked openly about fearing retaliation, about worrying that people close to him could get hurt simply because he told his version of the truth. And in street culture, that fear isn't imaginary, because talking isn't just about courtrooms, paperwork, and legal consequences. It's about survival. It's about who you can trust, and who might decide you talked too much. As the footage spread, the internet did what it always does. DJ Academics broke it down live, pausing clips frame by frame, questioning motives, timelines, and body language. Reddit threads turned into digital war zones, with users arguing over every detail, from Mills' tone of voice to the accuracy of facts he mentioned years before they were public. Twitter picked sides, turning the case into hashtags, debates, and viral clips. And all of this is happening with YNW Melly's retrial scheduled for January 2027. Legal experts say the timing couldn't be worse. Even if the footage never makes it into the courtroom, millions of potential jurors have already seen it, heard it, debated it, formed opinions. Public perception doesn't pause for legal procedure, and it definitely doesn't wait for verdicts. More than 6 years later, this case still refuses to rest. YNW Melly remains locked up without a conviction. One co-defendant accepted a plea deal. Another close homie finally broke his silence. And 2 young lives are still gone. Whether Jacoby Mills revealed the truth or added another layer of chaos to an already complicated case is something only the courts will ultimately decide. But one thing is certain: this story isn't just about a murder case anymore. It's about loyalty versus self-preservation, about money versus brotherhood, and about how fast everything can fall apart when success, fear, and silence collide. And no matter how this ends, the damage is already done. This wasn't just about music. It wasn't just about the streets. And it definitely wasn't random. It was about loyalty. about money, about power. And what happens when all three collide in the worst way possible? The streets are watching, the courts are preparing, and the truth may still be unfolding. Because sometimes, the most dangerous secrets don't come from enemies. They come from the people closest to you.